Welcome back to Beautiful Work, Beautiful Life. We're here in our month of February 2024, and we are exploring some self-discovery tools. We're super excited to introduce a new guest to the show today, and I'm going to let Laurel do that because Laurel made connection here. This is Cheryl of the Love Light Illuminations Center in Wells, Maine, where Laurel has a home. So Laurel had the honor of being a part of some experiences at Love Light. And Laurel, take it away.
Thank you. So,
Yeah.
Cheryl Banfield, Love Light Illumination Center, so in Wells on Route 1. And Cheryl is the owner of the center where she has some magnificent women that work alongside her, including her daughter, Emily. Um, and the center has been there for 9 years, 2015. And my own experience there, I have to tell you, even before I met Cheryl, I would drive by more than once a week in my out and aboutness in Wells during my summer months. And I was always drawn to Love Light Center for Illuminations and curious, like, I wonder what is there. I wonder what this business is all about. And then, as the universe would have it, brought Emily into my life through the Wells Women's Business League. And through Emily, I was introduced to the energy and the Love Light Center. And I had the pleasure of meeting Cheryl and doing an energy session with Cheryl. And I can just tell you, when I've done two sessions now, one with Emily and one with Cheryl. And I'm a curious person, and I try not to anticipate what I'm in for. And my session with Cheryl was just the most amazing thing
Hmm.
because she very quickly and comfortably and gently felt into things that I've been feeling in my body for a long time that I couldn't explain.
Mhm.
The center offers energy work, massage. You have a massage therapist, um, a beautiful store. There's a quaint little labyrinth in the backyard. And I can't suggest enough that if you're local, and even if you're not local, a lot of the programs and sessions are available online. Um, and I'm going to, with that, let Cheryl tell us more of what they offer and what she does, how she spends her time, and the energy that she brings to the world.
Yeah. Welcome to Beautiful Work, Beautiful Life, Cheryl. We're so glad you're here to share your work with our listeners. Yeah.
You. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I feel really blessed to be here. The work that you're doing, I think, is really important because there are many of us that have been called to this work. And with recent times, I think a lot of people are going through a lot of vibrational shifts, a lot of their own healing. And there's a lot of people that don't really recognize what's happening to them. And so being able to give that information, put that out there to people to understand what is happening to their bodies and even the way that they're thinking and what they're experiencing in their world is really important right now.
Mm.
We're going through really big energetic shifts, not only with, as we've seen, the weather and politics and
Mhm.
all sorts of different energetic things that we're experiencing, but also as humanity, where we're in a new phase of being able to open up more to a higher vibration of our own selves and a higher connection. I think, society's been seeking that for hundreds of years, more than that. We're always looking for that higher connection within ourselves, that peace within, allowing ourselves to have more joy in life, to really feel comfortable and enjoy life and to really experience love. I think our our goal is is really about love. We're all coming from that place of wanting love for ourselves and for others, because we truly are of love. And my journey with this started with a head injury back in 2001. It changed my whole life. Now I was going along in my life thinking that everything was fine. And I knew that there were certain things happening to me physically. I had sarcoidosis when I was 30. I had two small babies, and I had lesions all over my lungs. And I was really struggling with like they were like rheumatoid arthritic symptoms. And I didn't know what was happening to me and why I was experiencing it. And as though um, I felt as though I was a victim. And I think that really spurred me to feel angry, really angry of why is this happening to me? And the interesting thing, what was nice for a reflection for me is I had never really been that much about myself. I really didn't put myself first. I always felt like I couldn't be selfish, and then I had to be there for others and to my own expense. And the nice reflection was that I had two small babies. So it was more about my babies. It's like they couldn't not have a mother. How could this be happening? In a way, it really wasn't about me, but it really had to become about me. But I didn't really get it then. It took another big happening and some smaller ones in between in my 30s to finally, when I was getting closer to 40, to have this head injury. And literally the universe hit me over the head and said, okay, stop. I know it was a whole uh, connection with my spirit that was really guiding me into living a whole different way and allowing myself to be very present with myself, allow myself to bring my importance to the world as well, equally as everybody's important. We always look at humanly, is that person better than, or are they less than? And in reality, we're all the same. We're all equal. We're all here together, and we're having our experiences. And when we can bring ourselves into that place of understanding that we're all part of something bigger, that we're all the same, and that we're all from love, then it can change our whole world and how we see others, how we see our experiences with others. And we're all coming from that. The unhealed, in a sense, are experiences where we've misinterpreted what's happened, in our human experiences, and have felt certain emotions that we've held on to and are still living with. And so each experience that we have often holds that protection or that emotion from a prior experience that we don't want to experience again. We've learned, and now it's time for us to unlearn and to allow ourselves to expand ourselves and hold ourselves in a higher vibration of our spirit so that we can really be there in a very present way and in a way of more of a divine understanding and a higher perspective of what is taking place in this world.
So,
And that's
yeah, yes.
that's really how we can change our lives and change our experiences with others. And so we do have a program called Mastering This Life, which allows us to move more into that vibrational experience with ourselves, to remember who we truly are as spirits, and to raise our vibrations so that we can live completely differently from that higher space. There, I get long-winded.
Oh, no, you're good. You're
Laurel,
good. Yeah.
Can I just say, if you're feeling what I'm feeling, I'm just feeling, wow, like so much of that, like that we are love, and we, right, just our spirits are here for love. And Laurel, what I was thinking as Cheryl was saying that, I was just thinking of Dustin. And we haven't spoken of Dustin on our podcast, but for all of our listeners and our friends and Cheryl, Dustin is Laurel's son. And the last time I saw him in October when he visited in Wells, I think we had this conversation about love being what we are here for. So I thank you for bringing that to us again.
Yeah.
Now, Laurel, go ahead. I know you have questions.
Okay, well, I want Cheryl to share with listeners, can you give people, when we talk about raising our vibration or changing our vibration, can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's one of the terms that people don't really understand, and how, if you understand it, how it in and of itself, it can start to help you work more consciously with your own internal experience, I think. Yeah.
Yes, I'd love to answer that to the best I can because we really have different understandings of it. I like to think of using water as an analogy, that a water really has this really beautiful fluidity and it has a way of being able to conduct energy. And when we have water that goes to a low temperature and freezes, it really condenses and constricts and it comes into more form. And you can't do a lot with that. If you think of our human bodies being more of form, we are more condensed and more constricted in our energy, and we're working within our own selves. Our body appears to us as being completely of form. And sometimes with that, we don't recognize that our bodies can heal itself and that quantum healing exists because we think of it as such form. As we think about water and more of water in the sense of movement and its fluidity being just water, then there's more of a flow. There's something more happening. And again, if we think of our bodies more in that fluid state, which, we really do think of them more as form, we can allow more of our vibration to move and flow in a higher state of, I want to call that quantum again, because in reality, in quantum physics, things really appear to have form, but they really don't have form. And that's why we can have spontaneous healing taking place. I've experienced myself having tumor-like cysts in my uterus. My uterus was filled, and I was going to have to go in and have a procedure. And the night before I went into the procedure, we ran, my husband and I were running divine light, energy healing through this modality I'm working with through my body. And it's a little bit hard for the mind to comprehend that something like that could just completely disappear. So I was joking with him in the morning when I went in for the procedure that wouldn't it be funny if the doctors went in and realized that there was nothing wrong, that everything had been healed. And we had pictures and everything, the sonogram and all of that. So they went in and it was completely gone. They completely disappeared. And so when we allow ourselves to be in more of that fluid state, it allows a higher vibration. It allows more movement to be taking place. I'm not holding on to anything as much. And then if you think of ice or the water going from ice to water now to steam, we can think of steam a little bit more as our spirit. Steam we can still kind of see, but it in that form, there's a lot of particles moving very quickly and very fluid. And that's more of how we could have our spirit represented. So when we allow ourselves to be more in that energy of our spirit, we allow more flow and more movement. We can think of the vibration of love, like true, pure love, unconditional love with none of our stuff in it, as being the highest vibration. And in reality and divine, if we believe in higher guidance, in angels and ascended masters, or whatever we believe in God, there is a sense of a higher love, a love that is beyond what we can imagine humanly. That is the highest vibration. When we bring ourselves into recognizing the state where somebody is so afraid and angry and feeling so as separate and so excluded and so much an individual, that's a lower vibration. And so a lot of times we can measure our emotions with vibrations. So anger would be a lower vibration than love. And so there is sort of an elevated way of thinking about the vibration. And then musically, a lot of times music can be associated with the vibration because it is a certain type of a movement and a flow that is happening that can resonate more with our hearts, where a lower vibration can feel, and I don't want to say heavier because there are times where a very high vibration can feel heavy to our bodies because we're not used to it. But there's a difference in how we can experience different energy with its vibration. So energy has different vibrations. It's the way that the energy moves, how fast it moves, how fluid it moves. And then there's frequency within that, and there's more understanding within it. But I think it's easier to think about the different phases of ice in that way of fluidity and love, unconditional love being the highest vibration.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Cheryl, will you talk to listeners about what it's like for you when you're offering a treatment or a session to somebody?
Oh, I really like that question because in a way it gives me an opportunity to explain this modality being a little bit different than some other modalities. I was trained in Reiki before, some body touch, healing touch, and some I can't think of the other one now.
Craniosacral?
No, it was a body. Huh. My mind's not letting me go there. I guess I have to stay on
Doesn't care about
track.
it.
Not important.
Not important.
No. So when this modality started coming through, and I was, again, it was something I didn't expect to be happening. It was well after my head injury. It was about 2010. I had become more in tune and more aware after my head injury. I felt like my head injury was a huge blessing because I think it kind of rewired the way my brain, in a sense, my mind, and really opened me up more to finding out what was really happening in my life, and gave me an amazing connection with divine within myself. I had this unbelievable experience. I was living in Vermont, and I was up on the Stowbike Path, which is just beautiful with nature and in the mountains. And I was sitting by the stream, and I had this book that I'm fairly ADHD, and to get through a whole book, I like to skip around more than actually read, from cover to cover. But there was these meditations that I would pull out that really, really resonated with me. And this one, I was doing a Qigong meditation and moving the Qi through my body. And somehow I went into an altered state, into a much higher state, and felt like I had just moved into this state of oneness, like what we might think of as heaven, or just this blended state with source or God, or however people define that greater. And in that, I thought to myself, how can, if I'm part of God, or part of the source energy of oneness of all, then how could there be something wrong with me? And I think I always felt so lesser about myself, like I wasn't good enough, or I had all of those thought patterns that, made me less than. And when that thought occurred to me, it just changed how I experienced myself, and it put me into like a more neutral place with everybody. So when I had opened up more, I'm going to say this because I don't know why I always hesitate with this, but I had an apparition with Mother Mary. She came to me and another woman, and thank God another woman was in the room, because I probably would have been denying it after, saying I was crazy. So thankfully I had a witness, and she told me to stop everything that I was doing in 2010, January of 2010, and that she had a new healing system to bring through, an enlightenment system, a system that would help people evolve and heal. And I fought it for about a year almost, thinking that she's got the wrong person, and I don't know what this is really about. And so I did finally surrender in November of 2010. and it started coming in very quickly. And here's an example of a high vibration. She told me that the vibration was too high for my body to handle, and I could only sit there with her for about 15 minutes as she talked to me. And there was a couple of times where I tried to push the limit because I was very curious, and I ended up sick. My body, it was too hard for my body. So the way I step into, this is what I've been taught and what she brought through for me. She put me through a lot of healing myself. I am able to step into a higher vibration, more of a place from being in spirit when I do the work, so that it really has nothing to do with me. It's almost like I can think about stepping to the side of myself and being in a higher state. And I've taught the girls to do that as well. And it really allows us to move out of ego completely and hear more clearly and get guided into a session. And from that higher state, I can blend with somebody else's spirit in a way that I can help them move what is needing to be moved, and help them heal, help them have awareness. And it's really a beautiful experience. And because it's not me and it's not really running through my body, I'm not accessing it in that way. It doesn't deplete me in any way, and it doesn't impact me. So I can step in and out of the healing session where I can help facilitate a more divine experience that has nothing to do with me.
Wow.
There for that person.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Cheryl, would you consider it like a form of communication when you're in that state, communing with the other person's spirit? Or, I mean, you used the word blend, which I thought was really interesting, you know?
It is a blended energetic state.
Mm,
It's more in that state that allows the insights and the communication and the awareness of what needs to come through. But at the same time, I'm only partially involved because we're accessing divine light, divine energy that comes through very strong. And so I'm only facilitating part of it.
okay.
It's
Okay.
almost like opening a portal of God's energy.
Yeah. Right. Right.
And because the person themselves holds that connection themselves, we're able to just allow that to take place for them. It's really supporting them in their own healing and connection.
Mm,
It's
wow.
an energetic state that we can bring them into.
Yeah. Laurel, what's going on for you as you're listening? Because you've been through one of her
Mm.
sessions. So,
I can't even tell you. I thought for a moment I was going to cry,
Mhm.
because it's so powerful. Um, the session that I did with Cheryl, I had been experiencing upper back tightness, and when I left the session, I knew exactly what I was holding in my upper back.
Mm,
It was so clear. And so my experience, kind of from that rational physical of what I experienced sitting in the same room, face to face. I closed my eyes because I chose to. And and it was just information coming to me. Cheryl shared some verbally, and of course the energy is always, I'll say, there. I can feel that, being held in a safe place. The room, if I remember correctly, the room could probably fit 12 people,
mm,
but it was as if Cheryl and I were, just in this small, safe
mm,
little cocoon, a little cocoon.
mm,
But it was interesting because, um, this what I felt, and I'm going to say it was kind of an intuitive knowingness for me, um, that this pain, tightness in the back body, my upper chest, in my back, was really because, and it sounds crazy, I could see like a physical being that was a guard,
Mm,
and I could sense this. I'm guarding my heart so tightly that it's causing me physical pain.
mm,
And the knowingness that came through was, I don't need to hold my heart that. I don't. I can dismiss those guards who, I think there were two of them that have been with me for lifetimes.
mhm,
And when I left, I had no pain in my back.
mm,
And so it was just this whole, I don't remember the verbal information that came through Cheryl when I was with her, but it was more that I was hearing information or just in her presence and in the presence of the divine, in addition to Cheryl. I know the divine was there with us.
mm,
Um, and it brought me a sense of inner knowingness about myself
mm,
and some of my human tendencies, I'll say.
mhm, mhm.
Um, it was the most incredible thing ever.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and can I share one more experience? Now I did Love Light Center offers a retreat. And it was last October. Um, and it was several days. And on the last morning, as the divine was coming through Cheryl and she was speaking to us, and I remember the words that you used and said, I don't know where this is coming from. This isn't me. And there were some tears involved. It was, you know, s- I, energy, spirit coming through her. Um, and she was explaining kind of our job in this, going higher and then coming back into our humanness and going higher and kind of expressing the infinity symbol, if you will.
Mm,
Um, and then she used the words flux and flow. And that is when I lost it because my business name is Flux and Flow. And in that moment, I thought, I'm on the right path. There's nothing short in what I'm offering. All of my insecurities about my business, about me in my business, about my abilities as a coach and a business owner were gone in that instant. And I can only say, not that they haven't returned because my humanness keeps calling them back,
mm,
but in that moment, in that divine energy, I just had this reassurance that this path that I'm on, that I probably didn't choose in my own ego, that I question my ability in my own ego, is really the path I'm supposed to be on. So that was a long-winded answer to it's just heavenly.
But I think that that's for the listeners, I think that when we start talking, different energy modalities as a self-discovery tool, right? It's hard for people to put it in a context unless they have examples, because it's
Yes.
it's a little outside our ability to communicate it really easily and readily. And if you haven't had the experience of some sort yourself, you have nothing to compare it to. You have no context for it.
Yeah.
So I think examples like today, Cheryl giving her own, and then you sharing yours helps listeners understand. Like you have to go and have your own if you want if you want to have an experience or an example of it, and you want to have the delight and the realization of how miraculous it can be. You just have to go do it. You can't imagine yourself into it. But I do think, Cheryl, don't you think there's some things? Could you kind of, if you were going to give a message to our listeners today about what they can do and how they can invite themselves into an experience like this if they're afraid, if they're resistant, how can they work with that to be more allowing, to invite their spirit to get to the table quick, so to speak.
Yeah. So, along with what I was talking about with that fluidity is really allowing yourselves to open up. What What I message that I usually give everybody at one point during either retreats or sessions or is to expand your energy. Think about expanding your energy. I have found that if I have a physical injury that occurs, or if I'm feeling a certain way within, like grief or whatever it is I'm experiencing, we naturally constrict ourselves in a way to protect or try to make it okay, you know. And if in those moments you expand yourself, so in order to just allow yourself to flow, know that there is safety and expansion, because as you move your energy outward, in our minds, we often think that if I move my energy outward, it's going to open me up to other things that aren't going to feel comfortable. I'm going to be more vulnerable. But in reality, what it does is it opens you up more to your spirit, your higher energy that protects you. Um, and it gives you a way for your energy to move and flow and not constrict. Most of our illness and disease is from that constriction.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
imagine expanding. A really nice exercise if you're either out in nature or on a beach, wherever you are, is just stand there and imagine all of your energy expanding out as far as you can imagine, out into the sky, just as far as you can imagine. And it's just an amazing experience.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I think for people, if they're struggling with, being able to tap into that sense of that, sometimes just doing some deeper relaxation, experience some guided, relaxing yourself from your head to your toes. Sometimes when you can relax your physical being a little bit more, then you can sense into the ability of what we're talking about, this idea of just like opening up and expanding out. Sometimes if you use one of your senses to do it, it helps too, like auditorially, what do I hear like really close to me? Now go out a little bit farther, just the room, say if you're in a room. Now open up the room to your whole house. What do you hear? And then go outside the house, like keep going outward with some sense and that in it of itself also starts to give you that sense of expansion, right?
Right. It's really nice thinking about it too.
Yeah.
And if people can really understand the power of intention, even when our senses aren't picking things up, just the intention itself can be very powerful as well. So two ends of the spectrum there.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, the intention is really putting the mind, right, in the place of where you want it to go, almost, right? Or it's beginning to send your energy forward into that, what you're trying to manifest, right?
Well, yes, and what I found a quicker, easier way is the intention of just sort of handing it over to your spirit. Setting that intention will allow quicker movement in a higher vibration, so we can tap in energetically with intention too. So sometimes it's easier to think about instead of doing, allowing. Because a lot of times we know how to do things and we want to think about how to do something. But yes, the stepping back and allowing can really be powerful.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Even in relaxation, that's really what you're doing, right? You're allowing yourself to let go.
Can you imagine? That's right.
Yeah, that's great.
What a new thing to learn how to allow.
And how to let go. I mean, I know with clients, that's something I've heard always, through all my coaching years is I don't know how to let go, and starting just with relaxation, learning how to literally let your body stop constricting, let go, let go.
And I think this, in my own life, I've seen it in my clients, I've seen this. When we are the doers, right? Like there's so much that we're missing out on, because when we allow, it's like the sky's the limit, right? Like anything can happen. And so when we're the ones doing and thinking and planning and creating, and even, the physical will of manifesting restricts or limits all that might really be ours if we just opened up and allowed. Yeah,
Yes.
it's
So
really
the concept of allowing sometimes can be misunderstood because people think, okay, I'm just going to hand it over to everything else. But it actually is about balancing in incorporating the allowing into the doing. So the doing becomes more of a response rather than a reaction.
Yeah.
It's more of a taking in an action rather than trying to make something happen.
Mm.
And you can hold the allowing within those.
Yeah, that's
Well,
beautiful.
yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
good.
Laurel, how are we doing on time?
Well, it is time to wrap up the show, but I did want to see if you had any more questions for Cheryl before we jumped off, or you felt like she needed to clarify anything.
The only thing I would love for her to tell our listeners is I'll say the breadth of offerings at the Love Light Center. We've talked about the sessions with her. We've talked about retreats, but I know there's a lot of resources even on your website. So I want you just to tell our listeners, how they can find you, and we'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
But kind of the offerings that, I mean, meditation came to mind.
Right.
But go ahead, Cheryl, tell us.
The basis of what we're working with is the light body. So we have a light body. It's a newer field developing. It's more for that higher vibration of our spirit. And so we have a light body structure that we work with for meditation, which makes meditation and our healing so much quicker and easier. It keeps everything very simple. So we do have meditations. We have the meditations that are not a typical meditation. A lot of times people can't quiet their minds. This isn't about quieting the mind. This is about allowing ourselves to move into a whole different vibration in our present self, in our present experience, so that we can become a walking meditation. And so we're able to access a higher vibration and bring that into our everyday experiences. And so with that basis of our light body structure, we've got diagrams of how to do that. I do have a book called The Illuminas, The Light Centers of the Light Body, and it's on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. It's a very simple, small book with information about the light body, at least the light centers part of it, which is very easy to work with. The book itself has a high vibration, so it can be challenging for people to read without getting sleepy. But there is a dodecahedron on the top of the page that helps balance us, and that sacred geometric figure that we're working with in wholeness of self. I know I'm adding too much information here, but so once a week we are doing workshops. So it's a nice way that people can see what this is about. Each week we have a different workshop around different aspects of being in our light. The first one will be February, the first week of February. I don't have the date on this right now on the top of my head, but that's more about learning about this meditation. So anybody that's new to this modality, it's nice to do the first week of each month. There's the meditation with the light centers. We also have, I mentioned that program, which is an ascension program, an enlightenment program. It really allows you to move more quickly into your light body, into a blended state with your spirit, and live with more peace and more joy, more in the flow, more light within you, bringing that vibration out to others. And so there's a lot of information on our website about Mastering This Life program. It's got 4 parts of it for day events with that. And then we've got our retreats that are great because it kind of gives you a taste of everything. It's a way to really kind of close off from the world a little bit and really move into all about you and experience the higher vibration. So we do have the individual sessions with that. We do have some massages. And with this Love Light modality, we can incorporate it into a lot of different things like massage, myofascial release, yoga. So we are starting to incorporate it more into all of these other types of modalities.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you for being with us today and sharing with our listeners. I feel like We are moving rapidly into this different consciousness, shall we say, this year. And so if you feel like you're struggling, if you find you're more often fearful or resistant, you want to go and have some support and learn some of this directly so that you can work with your own energy and learn to enjoy what's coming rather than, be resisting it and fearing it. So, Cheryl, I hope that we see more and more people partaking in your work because I know that it serves the world at a really high level. So thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a
You're
pleasure.
welcome.
Okay.
I loved being in your energy. I could just
Yeah.
feel.
Oh, thank you. I'm just so grateful to be here and to let others know about this experience and a quick message if it's okay.
Yes, please.
Whatever you resonate with, so to the listeners, whatever you resonate with is divinely right for you. A lot of times we listen to what other people say we should be doing or different modalities and things like that. There isn't a right and wrong. It's whatever feels right for you, and there is a divine timing to things too. So allow yourself just to move with what feels right for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Trusting your own impulse in that way, right? Yeah. Good. All right. Off we go for now, Laurel.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks
Thank you.
everybody for being with us. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.